So we're into late November now, which means that it's cold, and that means we have to look for cold hardy mushrooms. Just a little side note, this isn't a Movember tash, and I'm not copying you, Jack. My wife likes it, and we all know how important it is to keep your wife happy. Now, what makes me happy are lovely mushrooms. So down here, we've got one of my favorites. This is the meadow waxcap. It's featured in numerous videos of mine in the past. I've done an identification video before, so watch that for all the ID features. But basically, this is what they look like. This one's got ice on the top of it. This is a lovely big mature one, and there's loads of them around. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is collect a few of these and show you one of my favorite things to do with them back in the kitchen. So, November mushrooms. Let's go and cook them up. So I've got the meadow wax caps that I need, but what I'm going to make requires a little bit of garlic flavouring. In our book it says use garlic cloves, but whenever you can, I'd suggest using the wild stuff. Obviously in November we don't get our native wild garlic, but there's still a few close relatives that grow almost all year round, and down here we're lucky enough to have one of them. You get three-cornered leek at this time of year all over the country, and that's what we've got here. So called because of its three corners on the stem and its triangular flowering stem. Now, this does look like a lot of native species of plants that are toxic, so always use your nose when you're IDing this stuff. Lovely smell of garlic from this. So I'm going to harvest a bit of this and get back to the kitchen. So I'm back in the kitchen now, and I'm going to show you how to make one of the simplest recipes in our new Wild Food UK Foragers cookbook. One of the parts of this recipe is thoroughly transferable though. Now, you saw me picking my meadow wax caps and my three-cornered leek. The only other ingredients for this recipe are some butter, a couple of tablespoons of chopped flat leaf parsley, maybe a couple of teaspoons of some fresh thyme, and about the zest of about half a lemon and a bit of egg, just to shine up the pastry for the tarts. Now, all I'm going to do is chop all of this quite fine, and then I'm going to show you how I prep the pastry. There's two different ways you can do this. One that's kind of the professional way, and one the easier way that when I'm cooking with Bonnie, I tend to go for that one. Just so you know, it was yesterday that I picked these meadow wax caps, and they've been in the fridge overnight, which has made them dry out a little bit. If I had cooked them fresh, there would have been a lot of moisture coming out of them, and that's not very good for this recipe. You want your mushrooms to be a little bit drier. And also, you want to be using firm mushrooms if possible. Now, the best mushroom for this would probably be hedgehog fungus, because they're nice and firm. Meadow wax caps are kind of medium to firm when cooked, as far as I'm concerned. But any mushroom will do, just the firmer, the better. So I'm going to get chopping and then show you how to prep your pastry. Okay, so I've chopped my mushrooms and my three-cornered leek, and now I'm going to show you the two different ways that you can prep your pastry for a lovely tart. Now, I buy ready rolled puff pastry for this. You can make your own if you want to, or you can buy the blocks if you want to and roll it out. But these pastry sheets are fantastic as far as I'm concerned. They're not expensive and they save a lot of time. Now, what I'm going to do is cut this pastry sheet into 6 roughly equal squares. And I say roughly, there you go, those ones are much bigger, which will suit the simple method. So you need a little bit of a border to your tart, and the simple method, which is fun when I'm doing this with Bonnie, is to roll in the edges pinch the corners, and then just press down the edges with a fork. There you go, and you can do all kinds of funky shapes like that if you want to. The more professional way is, and this requires reasonable knife skills, to cut halfway through the pastry in a square. And then just do some nice little stripes along the sides. The edges, which won't have any filling on, will rise up. And where the filling is, in the middle, will stay flat. So that's your 2 ways to prep your pastry, and I'm just gonna do the rest of these sheets now and then show you what to do with your mushrooms. Right, I'm putting into my wok. You can use a frying pan obviously if you want to. About 100 grams of butter. But we're going to use that butter at the end as a bit of a sauce, so that's why there's so much butter going in there. Now we want that butter to just melt. You always want to put your mushrooms into a reasonably hot frying pan. So we'll just let that melt. Okay, so the butter's all melted and sizzling nicely, and in go our mushrooms. And straight away, in goes our 3-cornered leek. Now if I was using garlic cloves, I would probably use about 3, maybe 4 cloves in this recipe. Use as much as you want to, depending on how much you like garlic. Straight away, we'll put in our 2 tablespoons of flat leaf parsley, 2 teaspoons of thyme, and the zest of about half a lemon. This is a classic combination really. Butter, garlic, parsley, thyme and mushrooms go together amazingly well, and a little bit of lemon zest just brings the whole thing to life. Now because I've used salted butter, I'm not adding any salt to this dish at the moment. I will let people add salt at the end if they want extra. But I love pepper. So So I'm going to add a bit of pepper. Also, on top of the tarts, if you want to, add a bit of cheddar cheese. Cheese and mushrooms is a lovely combination as well. But this, like I said, is pretty classic. This is the starter of lots of different things. If you wanted to do a nice mushroomy, garlicky pasta sauce, all you'd want to do is add a bit of cream and maybe a bit of mushroom stock to this. I think parsley, thyme, mushrooms, garlic and butter has to be one of my happy places at the dinner table. So these have been on for a couple of minutes now, and that's all I want for this, because remember they're going to go into the oven on the tarts as well. So you only want to kind of half cook them in the frying pan. There we go. Now I'm going to take them off the heat and let them cool for about 10 minutes before I put them on the tarts. Right, here we go. Next simple step. Get your mushrooms and garlic and place it on your tarts. Now, if you do it the fold way, it's a little bit more simple. Again, if you're doing it the professional way, you have to try to make sure, oh, I've already made a mistake there, that you do not go over the edges. Next little bit, just brush the edges with a bit of egg. Don't have to do this, just gives the pastry a nice shine. You can be pretty liberal. So there we go, all ready to go in the oven. I've preheated it to 200, it's a fan assisted oven. You might want to go a little bit hotter. I'm not using the Aga because I can't control the temperature on the Aga. They're going to take 15 or so minutes in there. When they look ready, they're basically done. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Right. Here we are. Now you can see the ones where we made the square cut have stayed sunken. All the ones where I just folded in the edges have risen, but that'll drop again in the next minute or two. Anyway, there you go. Mushroom, 3-cornered leek, parsley, lemon, thyme and butter tarts. Last little touch, I've just reheated that butter. We'll drizzle a little bit of that as a nice garlicky butter sauce over the top of the tarts. There we go. So there we go. There's our mushroom and garlic tarts. 3 plates and 3 tasters. Let me get that camera off you, Lindsay. You can jump the other side now.
That's good. Really tasty. You can really taste the mushrooms. And the lemon.
Linz, what do you think?
Really lovely.
There we go, dear wife. So you can use the same thing as a vol au vent filling. For me, this is kind of party food. It's a fun thing to do with the kids as well. And it's really